Welcome to A Human Perspective, a podcast where I'll be sharing work and personal experiences and learnings. I will also chop it up with guests from time to time who will also share their own perspectives. I can't promise everything you hear on this podcast will always be right, but I can promise to always give you a human perspective. Let's go. I recently wrote a 3-part series on tackling the job market, which touched on 3 core areas: the search, your CV, and the interview. Now, there's no perfect science to tackling the job market. However, I do believe there are some key things you can do to increase the possibility of a productive and positive outcome. One common thread in all 3 articles is the need to research. On this episode, I'd like to dive into this a little more because I do feel how much you research can make a huge difference and can honestly power up your application. Let's start with the search. Now, this particular article focused on having a strategy when it comes to searching for a role. It is easy to assume you know the job market because you perhaps already have experience in a certain role, but I do encourage you to double check your assumptions. You have nothing to lose. Quite often, working in a company actually means you're working in a bubble. It's important to know what is going on outside the bubble. Do a Google search to find the job boards that tend to have the type of roles you are looking for. You may discover a new site that works better than sites you previously used. Also, take this opportunity to pay attention to how companies highlight the skills and experiences they are looking for, so that you can also ensure that these are reflected in your CV. Research specialist recruitment agencies, even if they don't have a suitable role for you, they will provide job market insights and advice on roles that best suit your profile, and you may even get some CV advice. When I used to work for a recruitment consultancy, I worked very closely with the candidates I believed in. This included improving their CV and their ability to answer competency-based questions. This increased both the candidate and my success rate. I must add, in order for this to work, as a candidate, you do need to be open to feedback and trust the recruiter you are working with. The recruiter also plays a big part in the success of the relationship. They should demonstrate they are more interested in your personal success than their own. A good recruiter will always be honest with you, particularly when they trust you are able to handle the honesty. Another way to sanity check your CV is to look up sample CVs online and best practice tips. Where possible, try to look for sample CVs that are close to your role. Bonus tip: when you feel your CV is done, get someone to read it. Because once you've read your CV so many times, your brain starts to miss the most basic mistakes. So it's always good to get a fresh set of eyes on your CV. Anyone reading your CV should be able to understand your day-to-day responsibilities. So if the person reading is not able to provide a good overview of what you do, you need to make some tweaks. When prepping for an interview, research is fundamental. I personally find candidates often fall down on the most basic questions. What do you know about us? What do you know about the role? Why do you want to work for us? Why are you interested in this role? What can you bring to this role or organization? Why should we pick you? If you find you struggle to answer these questions, you have not researched enough. The purpose of these questions is to measure your approach to work and whether your interest is genuine. In relation to your approach to work, do you just jump in thinking you can blag your way through? Or do you take the time to understand the problem to come up with the best solution? In relation to your genuine interest, are you genuinely interested in us as a company? Do you know our purpose, journey, goals, and values? Are you genuinely interested in this particular role, or are you just looking for a job? Do you understand your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to this role? You'll be able to answer these questions based on the lengths you have gone to research and get your own answers. Another key part of preparing for interviews is looking up the people you'll be meeting at interview. Looking up their LinkedIn profiles will create a sense of familiarity for you. This also demonstrates a high and genuine interest in the people you'll be working with. You'll go into the interview much more comfortable and confident. You may also find there are some things you have in common. Maybe you went to the same secondary school, have similar qualifications, worked in the same or similar companies, or even like the same sports. You can even sometimes see people's personal interests from their LinkedIn profile picture alone. This is something you can proactively bring up at interview that will help strengthen rapport. Please note, I have used the term strengthen rapport. Don't use this information at the beginning of a conversation. Use it to solidify a conversation that is already going well. Otherwise, they may think you're a bit creepy. Looking up profiles may also help you think about the questions you are likely to be asked during the interview. Let's say, for example, you are sitting in a panel interview for a commercial role, and you know there'll be a member of sales, marketing, and product in the interview. Understanding their current responsibilities and backgrounds allows you to put yourself in their shoes more effectively and consider the questions each person is likely to ask you. Last but certainly not least, research and understand company culture. What are the company values? How can you demonstrate these during the interview? What type of clothing is appropriate? What perception is given from the company website, LinkedIn page, and other social media platforms? How formal do you need to be? Try to get a sense of this from the information available online. If you are working with an internal or agency recruiter, you can also ask for more information around this. If you're aware of culture from the get-go, it will be much easier to fit in and feel comfortable at interview. And let's be honest, this is the true test in an interview. Are you comfortable and professional? And will you be able to work effectively with our team members? This is always the ultimate question. I know this may seem like a lot of work, but the more you research, the easier it becomes. Even if you don't get the job, you will at least have a positive experience and leave a very positive impression. You never know, this may lead to the company proactively contacting you again in the future, or maybe even someone attending the interview but moving on to another company contacting you again in the future. I hope you found this deep dive helpful. If you haven't already, I recommend you read the 3-part series on tackling the job market. There is a lot more information and tips and gems available there. I've put links in the description for you. Thanks for taking the time to listen to my human perspective. Wishing you all the best. See you in the next podcast.